Do you guys remember that video I posted like this time last year? It was like getting dumped as my greatest talent or something like that. Do you remember it? Because I do. And this is not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. This is how I cope with things. I got dumped again at the same time as last year by the same person. I'm out of town, so I can't talk to my therapist. So this is what I have going for me. Basically, we're gonna start from the beginning because I have a lot to get off my chest. So all had been well. I went out and I saw him in person. It was perfect. Like, I can't even, like, I might hate him. That was not fun to say. I might hate, that weekend was, it was really, really, really good. And I talked to him afterwards because I was like, do you really think you're still gonna want me in June? Because this happened last time. And he was like, yes, I promise. I need you in my life. I realized that I took you for granted. And I was like, okay, all right. I believed him. But everything was really good for about a month after that. And then the same thing happened where it would go from, we would FaceTime like every night, almost like every other night-ish. And I would hear from him pretty frequently. It was all good, all well in the world. And then it just like stopped. It was super, super abrupt now that I think about it. We went from FaceTiming almost every night to like, it was almost a month. And he didn't text me very often either because he was finishing school and I was in school and he had work too. So I was always looking forward to FaceTiming and it just never happened. So I would bring it up because I was like, I don't really feel very appreciated or wanted. He would always tell me, he's like, no, I just been overwhelmed. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything's fine. I've been overwhelmed with work. I got a new job. So I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. That's cool. So we FaceTimed. It was really good. Good to hear his voice again. This is so fun. After that FaceTime, it went back to, we hadn't FaceTimed in like another 2 weeks, so I was asking about it. Just in case it sounds like I'm clingy. Okay, I don't know if you felt like I was being clingy, but when you live 1,000 miles away from each other, FaceTiming more than once a month is not that. It's really not that hard. Like, I don't even know. Especially considering we barely texted. And that's just kind of the pattern that it went back and forth from. After the second time, I kind of started a fight with him because I was getting really fed up with it. Really over, feeling like he didn't give a shit about me. But every time I would bring it up, oh my god, there's a butterfly. It was always either that he was just overwhelmed or he was with friends a lot, which, you know, you have friends, go hang out with them, that's fine. But really what kept me going is knowing that he promised that he realized he made a mistake in the past and that he wasn't gonna let me go again, that he needed me. He said he needed me here. He was gonna see me again during June and it was gonna be really good. I had so much stuff planned. Oh my god. I ordered a $175, $200-ish gold ring that I was gonna give him for his birthday when he was here. And I painted this picture of his dad that I know he really likes because I don't want to say anything about that. But yeah, it took like 16 hours and it was difficult and that was a lot of money because I don't have a job. This is so, okay, it's funny because this would definitely happen to me. But that brings us to a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the ticket and coming to see me. We hadn't called for over a month at that point. It had been a really, really long time. And what he would do that really made me start to feel hopeless about it, he would say like, hey babe, I'm sorry, that's my bad, I stayed up too late with friends, or I passed out, or some I don't fucking know, I'm gonna call you tonight, or like, we're gonna call tonight for real, or I miss you so much, we're gonna call tonight, okay? And then it just never happened. Never. Like, every single time he said we were gonna call, we never did. So it was to the point where like, I would bring it up, like, we haven't talked in fucking forever, like, are we gonna call sometime in the next decade or not? And he would apologize, he would say he was sorry. And when he said that, I would still go ahead and make plans with my friends because I knew that he wasn't gonna call me. But I was fucking in L word with him. It was super gross. And he knew that very well. He told me that he loved me, and I said it back. Then, kind of the last straw, I got really mad at him for this. It was the weekend before I was supposed to come, or the weekend before I came here to Minnesota. We had been talking about looking at his plane ticket because he was supposed to fucking come with me. And it was coming up. And he was like, we're gonna FaceTime, we're gonna look at plane tickets, it's gonna be cool. And he was like, I promise, we're gonna FaceTime for real. And I was like, okay, we're looking at tickets for him to come and see me. He's not gonna bail because this is like important, it has to happen. And I had plans originally with 2 of my friends that night, and it was the last time that I was gonna be able to see them until September. So quite a long time, because they were gonna go on vacation. I was going to too. And then he flaked again, and I was like, all right, that's just fucking stupid. Like, my best friends, I canceled plans on for the last time I would be able to see them for 3 months, because, yeah, I already explained it, it's fine. And so I was just like, literally, what the fuck? Like, what is your problem? What are you doing? Why are you lying to me? He was like, yeah, I know, I'm really sorry. Why didn't you tell me you had plans? Blah, blah, blah. And at that point, sorry didn't mean anything to me either, a lot, just because he never kept his word. He just never kept his word with me. And I can't really stay mad at him for the life of me, so I was fine, like, the next day. That was when I was like, we really need to look at plane tickets. And then that's when he said, we need to talk on the phone. And I was just like, no, we're not doing this. You're not gonna have me sitting here waiting for you again to tell me that you don't want me anymore, or you can't come and see me, or whatever. We're just gonna do this right now. You can get the fuck off of Xbox. So I went out of my car, then he called me. And he was just like, hey, and I was like, you fucking liar. I was kind of keeping my cool at first. I was just mad. I was yelling at him because he was like, I can't do this anymore. And he said he couldn't do distance anymore, which for a lot of people I understand, but when, oh my god, it just made me feel so fucking stupid, because he told me so many times when I was with him in person, he was like, I realized that you're the only person who's ever cared so much about me, whatever, and being here with you has been so nice. Like, distance is gonna be worth it if I can see you again. And then for him to just be like, psych, you thought, it was just like, cool. And I don't want to say it was like he really lying, because he told me he didn't realize that he couldn't do distance until like a week, 2 weeks before we broke up. I don't know how much of that was true, because fucking nothing he says is ever true anymore, apparently. I was not okay in the car. I was like hyperventilating, and I was fucking sobbing. Yelling at him. I was so all over the place, it was ridiculous. Just because he kept going in circles. Every time I asked him why he didn't tell me, he told me that he didn't tell me until now because he didn't want to hurt me. I was like, what in what universe is waiting until the day before I go on a vacation where you are supposed to accompany me on a better idea than telling me the second you knew? That would have given me at least 1 to 2 weeks to just get over it and enjoy my vacation. But he decided, because he didn't want to hurt me, to tell me the day before I went on vacation. I was like, what? I don't know what he was thinking. It was kind of just going in circles about that. He ended up crying a little bit too, which, as bad as it sounds, I was glad to hear, because at least I knew he cared a little bit. He was like, I can't do this right now, I'm gonna talk to you later. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we can't have this conversation right now, you're gonna wait till later, whatever. He hung up, and then the next day it was more chill, it was fine. I was kind of in shock, I guess, but we called again. I was just walking around the park, and we talked more about why it wasn't working for him. Distances being tough is a pretty legit reason, but what I didn't understand, at the very least, I don't think he just realized a week ago, because he'd been treating me like a pile of dirt for 2 months leading up to that point. But I don't know, we were talking about why, and one of the things that he brought up a couple times was my mood swings, or one day I was happy, the next day I was sad, and he said it was hard to be with someone who was like that, which is understandable. But what I didn't tell him, and what I still haven't told him, is he was literally the reason for 90% of those bad days. You know, that sounds really bad, but when you love someone and they're giving you affection one day, and then the next day it feels like they don't care, you don't know what they're feeling, especially if you haven't talked to them on the phone, you haven't seen their face. It's really hard to tell how somebody feels when you only hear from them like 4 times a day, and you're the only one asking how their day is going, or how they slept, or telling them good morning or good night. That adding up, and he knows that I overthink about things. So fucking of course when he did that, or acted like that, it would ruin my day, because then I would spend all day worrying about it. Yeah, that was fun. He also brought up the fact that I don't really have many friends, like I don't go out a lot. I know wanted the best for me in that aspect. He wanted me to be able to have a bunch of friends and go out and have fun. I was home by myself a lot. The only reason for that is that I couldn't get my license yet, and my only two friends who could really like see me lived 30 minutes away, so it wasn't very often where they would be down to come and get me. So of course I couldn't go out a lot. And then it came back to the distance thing again. It's just difficult. He didn't want to have to see me every 3 months, and that made me I was so confused because of the fact that, and we talked about it before, so I know he at least heard it. I don't know if he just forgot, but after this trip, which was a week and a half away when he broke up with me, like, I don't want to have to keep waiting to see you, bitch. It's a week and a half away. And then after this trip, I would have been able to see him like once a month. When I get home from this trip, I get my license and I get a job. Like, I have to, because I have to be able to drive my sister to school, and I have to drive myself to school and pay for gas. Like, it's something that is going to happen because it has to, which means I would have money. Plane tickets are not that bad to where he's at. So just hearing him say that he didn't want to have to keep waiting, knowing that it was so fucking close to being infinitely easier, was just so stupid. Like, it just made me feel so dumb. And that's kind of where I'm standing now. I feel like distance wasn't all of it. He didn't like me enough to where the distance was worth it. Even if he did still like me, I don't think he liked me enough to where the distance was worth it. One other thing he said was, it was boring. It got boring talking about the same thing over and over again, and that made me so fucking mad. That just made me mad. I had been like sad and confused to that point. It was literally his fault that we had the same conversation every day. And I don't like putting things solely on him, but that was on him. If you only talk to me, or if you only answer me like 4 times a day, and it's like 5-word sentences, and they're dry as fuck, and you don't put any effort into FaceTiming me, of course they're gonna be the same conversations. Even now, when I asked about his personal life, how he'd been doing, what's been going on in his life, it was so dry. Like, I knew nothing about his personal life. I brought that up when I was walking around the park, and then he shot back and he was like, okay, well, I didn't know anything about your personal life either. It's like, bitch, you never asked. He asked one time when I was at school. I was with Renee, which is one of my best friends. He asked who she was, and I was like, oh, this is Renee. He just asked who she was. He never ever asked about my personal. The only time he ever asked about me was when he was like saying, what about you, after I asked about him. So fucking, of course, all the conversations were the same. I don't know how he expected me to be able to start deep, funny conversations when he doesn't talk to me. Just all of that, all of the reassurance that he gave me when I would open up to, I don't like opening up to people, because last time I opened up to him, or I did it pretty frequently, and you felt that like I was being clingy. I didn't do it very often, but every once in a while I would, and he would reassure me every single time. And every single time he would do that, it looked like things were gonna change for maybe 3 or 4 days. He would be super nice, and he would be attentive, and he would act like he cared. And then it would just fall off again, and he would go back to barely answering me, dry as fuck, never ask to see my face or whatever. I would always have to put the effort in. It was so one-sided. So after all of that, I love him still, but I hate him for that. And when we broke up, he said he still wants me in my life because I was his first love. I feel like part of me feels like he thinks he loved me, but he didn't actually. Because I feel like if you love someone, you would be uncomfortable with their absence. Like, if he really, really loved me, like he said he did, then he would miss me. When he didn't talk to me for hours and hours and hours, he would miss me and he would think about me. But obviously he didn't, because it never changed. I don't know. But he said he still wanted me in my life, or wanted me in his life. Even now, it's kind of the same thing. It's just, I hear from him like twice a day, if I'm lucky. Like right now, I've been undelivered for like 10 hours. And one thing that really was pissing me off, I was talking to my friend about it. I feel like he wants me there to fall back on, maybe. Or if he gets lonely in the middle of the night and he wants somebody who he knows is gonna be there to give him affection, I'm gonna be there. I started trying to distance myself, because I don't want to ghost him. I don't want to have him out of my life, because I still fucking love him. I started to distance myself, like try to distance my replies like he did, and then he started talking to me more frequently that day. He was checking up on me. He was like, how have you been? you know, how are you doing? How are you handling it all? Like, are you doing okay? What's up? And he was acting so concerned, and I was with my cousin, and he thought I was out with a boy, and he was like, so who's the new boy? It feels like he only cares when he thinks that I either found someone new or I'm ghosting him, which neither are the case. But when I tell him that I haven't found someone new, I still only have eyes for him, then he just goes back to talking to me once or twice a day. So I'm just kind of fucking getting fed up with it. I know I deserve better. I figured that when he saw me here in person again, it would all be fine again. But it was not. It's not fun. It hasn't been a fun month so far. That's kind of what's been going on the last month. When I get back to Arizona, I'm gonna figure my shit out. I'll be fine. Anyways, I'm gonna run out of storage on this goddamn phone. Alright, well, thanks for listening. I don't know why I made this video.